It's Friday, so our next coming fun thing we're going to do is Sunday Fun Day. We start 10:30 a.m. with Continental breakfast, and it's delicious. It's fun. It's always an adventure because we have people come and bake things. People sign up to bake things every week, so it's always something new and always something fun to try. Then, of course, we have coffee with tons of creamers. We got cream, then we got half and half, then we got like all the flavor creamers, then we have juice and stuff. So it's just a fun time to be together, and it's delicious and fun. And then after that, we have our regular scheduling. We do not have our Wednesday kids party anymore because it's summer break. Happy last day of school, everyone.
Yeah, well, just about. Everybody's so different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Wapaton, they were done Monday, Tuesday.
But we do still have our Tuesday night Bible study.
Yes.
Online and at the church at 6:30.
Yeah, at the church. So those are the fun things. Let's dig right in. We are going to go to, well, we're just going to dig right in. And then we'll find out where we're going to go to soon.
Sounds good.
Let me just move this aside. Hey, you want to share it? Do you mind, please? So when faith comes alive, your victory is delivered instantly. God doesn't time your victory. You do. You time it.
Ooh, that's good.
We're not waiting on God. God has already done his part. It's like playing chess. John likes to play chess. Let's say I took my turn, and John's still waiting for me to take my turn.
There are videos of pro-level chess where they're supposed to have a timed, scheduled pro match, and one guy's there, played his move, the timer's going, and the other person's not there yet.
Oh, no.
So he's just sitting there. So that person can't play anymore, but that other person's time is running out.
Oh.
See? Wow.
See? Hey, we got to say hi to some people here. Shayna, Justin, Cindy, Kelly's on.
Hey,
it's about time.
Fam. Love it, love it. And also, your change in position, your promotion, your rising to the next level in life is determined by the operation of your faith.
Okay.
If you're not operating your faith, you're going to just stay where you are, and then you get frustrated. You're like, well, why aren't I moving? I have faith. Yeah, but are you using it?
Yeah.
Are you operating it? Can you imagine if a person comes to God and says, Jesus, come and save me. And then he says, no, I've saved enough people today. Come next week. That would just be horrible. God doesn't do that to us. We time our victory. It's up to us. So now let's go to 2 Corinthians 6.
We got to say hi to Janet and Sam.
Hey.
And Connie.
Hey.
Connie is officially retired today. And Miss Megan.
But it's your refirement day. You're not done yet, honey.
See.
Yes.
Yep.
Exciting.
Yes.
2 Corinthians 6 and verse 2. We're going to look at this. 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 2. It helps if I get there. And I'm going to read it out of the Amplified.
Oh, Megan's it with Jana.
Oh,
Hey, Jana. Nice.
For he says, in the time of favor, of an assured welcome, I have listened to you and heeded your call, and I have helped you on the day of deliverance, the day of salvation. Behold, now is truly the time for a gracious welcome and acceptance of you from God. Behold, now is the day of salvation. It's not tomorrow. It's not in 5 minutes. It's right now. Same with healing. If you expect healing, well, it's going to come. Well, that's what you're going to get because you time it. But if you expect it right now and believe it in faith now, we told stories about Andrew Womack last Tuesday about he was just determined. We didn't even tell this one. So he was running on his property when he was younger, and he was just exercising, and he was running on a sloped hill like this, and it was winter. And he slipped, and here there was a branch that was stuck out, or like a root of a tree, and he broke his ankle. So he was about like 5 miles from home. He was about 7 miles out, 5 miles from home. So he's like, well, what do I do? I broke my ankle. So he was determined. He's like, no, I am not going to have this. This does not belong to me. So he started running home on a broken ankle. So at first he was limping, but he ran home just fine. And he said the next day, wasn't broken at all. It was black and blue, but there was no pain. It was perfectly fine.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
But what if he would have thought, well, it still hurts, so I'm not healed?
Yeah.
We have to get past our feelings. Our feelings tell us nothing.
In Romans 10, it talks about what the heart man believes, and with the mouth confession is made unto. Now, it does no good to confess something if you don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember the man that Paul was preaching to, and he perceived, and he looked steadfastly at him, the man that was crippled, and he saw that he had faith to be healed, and he's commanded him to rise up and walk. That wouldn't have done him any good, but he saw that the man had faith. He was ready to receive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our faith has to be full.
Yeah.
Now, saying it will help you get your faith full for a harvest, to grab that, for your faith to be released. That's like those old toys that had the springs, and you'd have to wind them up. Or remember those cars, and you go like this?
Yes, wind it up.
You got to get your faith winding up.
Yes.
And
That's
the more
good.
you do it, the faster and farther it'll go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And faith comes by hearing.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have said any other way, we'd be doing it.
Yeah.
So many Christians, so many people are waiting on God.
Yeah.
Or they're waiting on a feeling, or they're waiting on, here it says it's now.
Right now.
So if you decide today, no, I'm not going to. Well, tomorrow when you wake up, guess what? Now is the time. So we determine.
Yeah.
We determine when we're actually going to get saved, because it's there as a gift.
Yeah.
We determine when we're going to get healed.
Yeah.
We determine when we're going to be prosperous.
That's good.
Yeah, and if you hear that,
Wow.
that is so good. If you hear that and you go, oh man, I have to do something. No, you get to.
You get to.
You don't have to wait around. It's the
Yeah.
worst being hopeless, not being able to do anything. Hopeless and helpless.
Yeah.
But we're not. God gave us all the power, all the tools, everything we ever needed.
Yeah.
So when we hear things like this, we should go, yeah, I don't have to wait around for anybody else. I
Yeah.
don't have to wait around for the devil to change. I don't have to wait around for circumstance to change.
Yep.
I can change right now.
That's right.
I just heard a profound guitar player, and he was talking about dealing with students through the years.
Ooh.
And we know dealing with students.
Yes.
It's so natural for us to just want to, we want to learn the fancy stuff, and we don't want to put effort to learn the mundane.
Yeah.
And so this guitar teacher said he had that problem, but he noticed next door there was he was either Taekwondo or karate teacher. And he had the same problem with his students. They'd want to learn this fancy kick. And this is what this karate teacher told him. And the guitar player said that he learned, he stole this saying from him. This teacher said, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do it, but it's not going to do you any good unless you can perform it without deciding to do it.
Whoa.
Having it built into your subconscious.
It has to be
Having
that
made
reflex.
it a part of you.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so that,
Yeah, that's what they do in the
Wow.
military. You are so trained that you can put that gun together with a blindfold on. Because when you get under pressure, all your fine motor skills, all your decision-making skills go to pot, like, just are not there anymore. So you have to have that so trained in you
That's right.
that it's just second nature.
Yeah.
You just do it.
Yeah.
We do this with a lot of things.
Yeah.
You can
A lot of times your first words of, I can do this. This is going to be easy. Like Kelly taught. This is going to be easy. This is easy.
Easy.
That sets the tone.
Yeah.
It's so, just that little bit, it really works.
If when we were growing up, if we got hurt or if we were going through something, you would always say, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And at first, I didn't like that because I know it's not going to be okay. How can you say you don't understand? No, it is actually going to be okay.
I know, I have had people get mad at me.
Jesus would probably tell you the same thing. It's going to be okay.
And then he'd go further. Where's your faith, honey? Come on.
Yeah,
You should be
so
doing
that's
this
good.
by now.
And your flesh doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Nope.
But if you get automated, pretty soon you will tell yourself right away, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Well, that's that spring again. You're
Yeah.
ready. You reply before you respond in turn to what you're trained.
Yeah.
And if you're not preparing to respond, you're probably not going to do too good.
Yeah.
You don't, people think, well, I'll just rise to the occasion. No, you rise to the level of your training.
Yeah. Ooh,
You train in
that's
time.
good.
You don't learn things and perfect things in times of stress. You're not built to do that. You're built that when things are calm and you're relaxed.
Yeah.
That's when you train.
Yeah.
So that thing that you built inside of you, that's what's going to come up when the stress comes. Only what
Yeah.
you've built in there.
Yes.
I heard a minister, when he was in college, he played college basketball. He wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the tallest, he wasn't the best, but they wanted him as center something. It's
Center
like
guard,
it's like one of the most main people of basketball.
point guard.
Something like that. Anywho, he was going to be the main guy. And so what did they have him do? They had him eat with the guys that played that spot. They had him train with the guys that played that spot. Not only, so he'd be sitting with them and he's like, I'm so full. And they're like, you have to finish that because you're eating like us now. Because you have to train for
That's
this.
good.
So
That's
he
good.
started playing that. So his coach finally said to him, he said, I'm going to put you under so much pressure during practice under so much that when game time comes, it's going to be easy. Wow. What if we did that in our life?
What was that statistic about financial, your levels of being financially, that you statistically will be within 10%, I think I'm getting this right, 10% of the 5 or 10 people you spend the most time with. Mm-hmm. You're going to start acting like them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I think about the Israelites. And it said when they were in the wilderness, I mean, haven't you ever thought about this when they crossed the Red Sea? Then they're going like a few days, no water. No, and you can get hangry.
Yeah.
Now they're water hangry. And so now they're like ugly and we're going back and I used to think, yeah, I mean, I would be like that too. And it seemed like their journey was kind of like that. Well, then it gets to, I think it's Numbers 13, where it says God humbled them and proved them. Yeah. So that's what he was doing. Mm-hmm. And I think that we live like that more than what we think. Because I have found now that I'm going to be 66 this year, now I'm seeing a little bit of a pattern here, that when things don't go the way we want it to go, or when things look like this is really bad, or this is going to be so hard, or this is just not right, or they're so mean, and and you either fight or flight, you know. Yeah. But here's the deal. If we really believe that Jesus is our Lord and Savior, and that the Bible is true, that he orders our steps, and that everything that we go through turns out to be victory and triumph, that he's already done it, we're walking through a finished work, we wouldn't even think about it.
We'd be like, I can't wait to see how this turns out. Yeah. It's going to be so good.
We wouldn't lose sleep. We wouldn't get upset. Our feelings, our emotions would be just even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
You know, we're in Minnesota, and you hear there's 2 camps of people in Minnesota. People who love the snow and people that hate the snow. And you know what the people who hate the snow have in common? Well, let's look at the people that love the snow. You know what they have in common? They've got plans. Plans for when that snow comes. Either plans to enjoy it and snowmobile or stuff like that, ski and stuff. Or they've got equipment. They just can't wait to deal with that snow because they're ready. And the people who hate the snow, they're just, you know, they're
trying to survive.
Victims.
Yeah.
They just go through it.
There you go. Yep. And they're complaining. Yeah. You know, they're doing this. So what we sow, what we reap is what we sow. Well, that includes words. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to sow into, it's going to be winter soon, you know, they're counting down 600 days till Christmas, you know, and then, it's winter and this is really going to be bad. I hate it when it snows. That's how it's going to be for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I play hockey with a retired guy, and he's got this great big fancy snowblower. The snow doesn't bother him a bit. He gets that thing out. He's ready for it.
Woo!
You know, faith doesn't bother you when you understand how to be ready.
Yep.
It does. The process doesn't bother you.
John, if you use the big equipment with your faith, stop using this puny stuff, trying,
shoveling by hand,
toiling. Get the guns out.
You ever see? And
get the big word out.
Yeah, and I plow snow, and so I go around town and hitting my routes and stuff, and I see people hand shoveling the snow that the plow pushed into their driveway. Hand shoveling it, and you can see they're miserable. And I think that's how a lot of Christians are walking out their faith.
Yep.
They won't build up. They won't get their faith to the place where they can handle it and still have joy through the whole process.
It's kind of like tests and quizzes in school. Yeah. If you were ready for it, if you had studied appropriately and were ready for it, you were excited for it.
Yeah.
But if you didn't, they're just terrible.
Yeah.
So you can be ready and happy for a test to come in life.
It's all your perspective. Good. I just heard this story and it was so good. There was this kid and he was failing in school horribly. He was just a dropout. Everybody hated him. He was the worst student ever. So his mom said, just take the practice ACT test. He's like, I'm going to fail. She's like, just take it. He's like, fine. It'll be easy. I'll just do it. So he did it and he knew he wasn't a good student. So he gets the test back, and here, he scored like 90%.
What?
They thought, did you cheat? And he said, no, I didn't cheat at all. So he started living life like a winner. Oh. He started being a better student. He graduated. Then he graduated from college. He started his own business. It was very successful. Years later, he found out that 13 of the test scores accidentally got mixed up. And he actually scored only 13%. Like, he failed horribly. Here, all he did was change his mindset.
Oh,
He didn't even have to be a winner. He just started thinking like a winner.
Yeah.
So if we think that, oh, this is going to be hard. Oh, we're going to have the worst winter ever. Well, guess what? You're going to have the same amount of snow, whether you complain about it or you're happy about it.
Yeah.
You're going to have the same circumstances in life.
Yeah.
But guess what? When you choose the struggle bus, you're going to be under it.
That's right.
But when you choose to live life as in Christ, in Him, in faith, you're going to live over on top, and you're just going to, it's going to be easy.
You got to read some of these.
Remember that, what was it? Best Buy, they had that easy button? No, it was Office Max. It was some office store. You would hit the easy button, and they would just deck out your whole office, and it was just all the stuff you needed.
What?
And it made office work easy. Guess what? We have the easy button.
That's right.
We just press this, and faith.
That's right. That's easy.
It's easy. I just was listening to another minister. I was getting ready, and they were talking about worry. That when you worry, it's like taking things that don't belong to you. So she started walking around this auditorium taking ladies' purses. And she's like, ooh, this one's heavy. Ooh, this one. She's carrying them around. She's like, guess what? These aren't mine. These do not belong to me, but I can feel the weight of them, but they don't belong to me. A lot of times we think that, well, anxiety or worry or emotional, all that stuff belongs to us. Oh, this struggle's hard. Why are you carrying that around? It's not even yours.
Keith
Don't carry that.
Keith Moore taught healing school for Kenneth Hagin for Rhema Ministries for 20 years. And he said they were in healing teaching all the time, just all the time, day in and day out, healing, because it was a healing school. And he noticed after a few years of that, he was doing really good physically. But you know what? He came to the realization, he said, I need to start doing this with finances, because he wasn't doing real good financially. And he said, we're strong, and we're stronger in other areas. Just in the natural, that's the way it is. And you struggle when you're not strong.
Yeah.
If you're strong, the struggle's over.
Yeah.
But getting strong takes work. Getting strong takes mundane, repetitive work. Consistent work. Getting strong spiritually. I think this might have been Andrew Womack. Maybe it was somebody else. But they were dealing with financial problems. And he said he went to some conference where this person was teaching. He had tremendous results financially. And he went... this man, I think, was coming to teach at his campuses, and he said, clear my schedule. I'm going to go listen to all these this week of him here. He said he brought a notebook. He didn't write one thing down in his notebook. Everything he taught was what he already knew. But he was putting it into practice. And so I might be getting my stories mixed up with him, but he, at one time, he got all the healing scriptures and immersed himself in them and just stayed there. Until finally it started registering. He started getting strong financially. He said things started coming to him. He said it would work like magic.
I think we do that a lot where we think we're doing it. We're actually acting on the word by just, going to the church, listening to amazing teaching, writing notes maybe. But until you actually do it, it's not going to benefit you. It's going to be really good teaching. It's going to inspire you, but you got to actually do it.
You need both.
Yes.
Hearing by itself isn't going to do the job.
Right.
Acting by itself, acting on it isn't going to do the job. You've got to have both.
You got to have both.
I
heard a minister, and you guys probably heard this too, but she said there was a lady, and she was a minister, and she had died of cancer, and everybody thought, what in the world? I mean, she prayed for people. She had great success. She had a wonderful ministry. I mean, they just couldn't believe it. And so they were listening to some of her, because, once somebody's gone, it's like all their books come out and all their, everybody's getting their tapes and everything. So she was listening to her, and she noticed something. She said this minister would constantly, she wouldn't, for herself, she always prayed against cancer.
Oh, no.
And she always said, I'm not going to get cancer, it was always. Instead of taking the word, she kept constantly focusing on cancer. Instead of taking her healing, my body's healed, my body. And she said she has noticed that now through the years, different people that she has prayed for, she has noticed that if it's hard for them to receive in an area, it's because they've been focusing on that.
That's like carrying all those bags. And,
Yes.
oh, they're just so heavy.
Yeah.
I pray that these aren't so heavy. I pray that these aren't so heavy. You're
Or
still
these
focused
aren't
on
mine.
them.
You still have
Yeah.
these aren't mine. This isn't mine.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how long you have those bags. They still don't belong to you. So she told another story that there was this lady and she was a minister and she had gotten cancer. And so her and her husband went to go pray for this lady, and the lady was in the hospital and she was just so calm. And she said that she's like, yeah, the doctor said this, but I'm not even going to think about that. And she was just so calm. This lady, the people that came to pray for her, they were just amazed.
And it was really serious.
It was like she was going to die. She was on the brink of death. She's like, but I'm not even going to think about that. What is she doing? These don't belong to me. She took them off.
That's
she was
awesome.
healed. She was like 25 years later. And she was perfectly fine.
That's like if you're focusing on not getting cancer, that's like with the serpent on the pole and the snake.
Yeah, you
that
can't just not look at the serpents.
No. And that would be like, that serpent's not going to touch me. It's not going to touch me and be freaking out. No, get your focus off of that and onto him.
Onto him.
Jesus.
So much so that even if a snake's crawling up your leg, it bites you. Another one's on your arm biting you. You got snakes all over you. If you look at that pole, you're perfectly fine.
Kenneth Hagin was going through a heart attack, and he was staying at a minister's house, and it was all night, and he didn't want to wake the minister up because he thought, I'm not going in. If I go in, they're not going to do anything for me because they've already said, anyways. So he would pray against it. You get in the word and everything, and he would get, relief, and he'd go to sleep for a little bit, and then he'd wake up with these alarming, like, heart attack symptoms. Finally, he says, Lord, what do I do? And he says, I believe I'm healed, but what do I do? He said, consider not, but.
Yeah, that was the first, and then he did that.
But
and he got some relief.
Consider Jesus.
Yeah.
Consider him.
Yeah.
Who for the joy that was set before him. I mean, he was supposed to put his eyes on Jesus and keep him there.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Wow.
That's a skill of faith.
Yeah.
You had
that's
said that.
skill
Your
of faith.
skill of faith is putting your attention where it's supposed to
What
go.
was that story about Smith Wigglesworth and he went to pray for a man? I can't remember what was wrong with the man. But the man had condemnation, and Smith Wigglesworth, talked with him about how Jesus provided for forgiveness and stuff. And then he told him this, now we're going to pray, and don't think about anything except what the Word says about Jesus.
Wow.
Don't think about anything except what the Bible says about Jesus.
Now that's the fight of faith.
And the man was healed when they prayed for him.
Praise God.
Don't think about anything but what the Bible says about Jesus.
I gave testimony Tuesday night. And we talked about, a lot about this healing and stuff. And then I had said that I had gotten a thing in my foot, my ankle. And I didn't tell anybody. And I thought, I am not going to have that. And so we went for a walk. And I just walked on it, And it was painful.
She's power walking.
Yeah, I was power walking on it. So after I tell the testimony Tuesday night, the next morning I wake up and guess what? My ankle. I don't even know before what ankle it was. But anyways, yeah. So it was really funny because yesterday I thought, I am not even thinking about this. I'm going to do everything the same. I am not even going to think about this. And it was gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, isn't it funny? When you give attention, God said in Proverbs 4, attend unto my word.
Yeah.
Attend. Give it your attention.
But you gave attention to something else. I think people might get off if we just teach that. I just don't think about it.
Right, that's true.
Just don't think about
Yep,
it.
that's
There has
true.
to be something already. You have something already in place.
Right.
And that's what you're acting on.
Yes.
And that devil, those demons, that pain, it wants to get your attention. They're attention-seeking little buggers. They will just poke and poke and poke, trying to get your attention. But if you don't give them attention, if you don't give them a voice, it torments them. They hate that.
Yeah.
And they will get so annoyed that they will leave.
Yeah.
A minister said that she, for about 3 months, these thoughts just kept trying to come at her, and she would speak to them. She said, no, you are not having them. Doesn't matter how long it's there. You out-persist them. And 3 months later, they were gone.
Wow.
She never had them again.
Wow.
But that devil, he's persistent. But we can out-persist him.
Yeah.
Discipline is doing the hard things every day like you love it until it becomes easy.
Ooh, say that again.
Discipline is doing the hard things every day like you love it until it becomes easy. It's that uphill battle, and then it's easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you build your faith is like a muscle. I mean, like you said, when you do the consistent, day in, day out. It's
Yeah.
like building muscle.
Yeah.
You're like, this, I don't like this. This is stress on my body. But you
Yeah.
build that, and then you learn to love it.
Bruce Lee said, I don't fear the man that can do 10,000 different kind of kicks. He says, I fear the man that knows how to do, that is practice the one kick 10,000 times.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's so
And
good.
You might go to the gym for a week. You're not going to see results. 2 weeks, you're not going to see anything. You'll look in the mirror and you'll be like, what is this? Same with faith. You're going to be like, it's just not working. It's just not working. Stay consistent.
Yeah,
Because all of a
yeah.
sudden, it compounds, and then after a month or so, you start seeing results. You're like, oh, that's not as squishy as it used to be.
Well, think about those ladies that were at Lillian Yeoman's house, and she would
Yeah.
bring the scriptures and have them say them, and they'd say, it doesn't mean a thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
I'd said it thousands of times, doesn't mean a thing. She said, just keep doing it.
Yeah,
Just
I
keep
don't
doing
feel it at all. Just keep
Something
doing
will
it.
stick.
Mhm.
That's like we taught some time ago. Even if you can't believe it, because there's things in the Word, it's hard to believe some of the things in the Word. And the Word says healed. I have, by Jesus' stripes, you were healed. In the mind of God, healing's already been provided. He sent His Word and healed us. Himself took our infirmities. And then you look at your body and you feel sick.
Yeah.
Or you look wrong.
Yeah.
But even when you can't believe it, say it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Say it.
Yeah.
It'll find a place in your heart.
Right.
And your heart will grow that thing.
Yeah. That's so
We're
cool.
in a culture right now that people don't want to do the things they don't like doing.
Yeah.
Like if it's hard,
Oh,
no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But we do hard stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use
All
the
the
word.
So I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought that up because we had mentioned this on Tuesday, but man, it's just always comes back to me. This is so huge. Our comfort zone.
Yes.
Our comfort zone. Faith doesn't have a comfort zone. It has the word of God. It's a promise. It's got the truth. But if you're going to base your faith and the things of God that it has to be in your comfort zone, you're going to miss it.
That's right.
You are going to miss it
Mhm.
because it's probably close to 100% of the times that I've had a fight of faith that I had to get out of my comfort
That's right.
zone.
Yeah.
And a lot of times comfort zone is your flesh.
Yeah. Every time.
It's your flesh. And your comfort zone it can be just something silly. It can just be, this is my comfort zone. This is my tea time. This is my, we've got these little
Emotional
traditions.
support
Yes,
net.
yes,
This is
yeah.
my emotional support blanket.
Yeah, and so somebody calls or now I got to go, run and do that. Well, I haven't had my tea yet. I mean, that's a comfort zone. And we can miss God.
Mhm.
We can miss so much because a lot of people will not fight.
That's right.
They won't fight
I'm
the
so
faith.
glad that
fight the faith.
Jesus didn't stay in his comfort zone.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
comforting for him.
Wow. And it was constantly.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we find out in life, if you find this out quickly, it just makes life so much easier. There's going to be hard things. But we find out everything that God calls us to do, asks us to do, to obey Him, is always against our flesh. Our flesh will never like doing it. Ever. And once you realize that, then you're like, well, shut up, flesh. You don't get to tell me what to do because I don't listen to you for a lot of things.
Your flesh will learn to like whatever what if we made the scriptures our comfort?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when
Yes.
problems, because the Bible says, is
Yeah.
any afflicted? That means a test or trial or anything's hard that come against you. Let him pray.
Yeah.
Make that your comfort zone. Make God and His presence and His Word and fellowshipping with Him. Make the Spirit of God inside of you your comfort place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a huge switch
Yeah.
because we're
Huge.
trained. We're trained to have different comfort places.
Yeah.
Some people sleep as their comfort. I don't get enough sleep, and that ruins my whole day.
Yeah. You can have a symptom, and like we would say, a phrase is, we're just going to put a Band-Aid on there, but we never deal with what's causing that.
Yeah.
We never deal with, okay, what am I doing? What am I, and we can do that with the comfort zone. We can take the Word of God and try to work that in with our comfort zone and think, okay, now I'm going to take this, but I don't like this other one. I'm not really, used to that. Not really comfortable with that. But I'm going to take, Paul, he addressed that. He said, I'm not able to teach you any further than milk.
Oh, yeah.
You won't take meat. You won't take meat. Well, that's like a baby. And there's a point with babies where they've got to get off that bottle.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot stay. It hurts their teeth. It forms their mouth, the roof of their mouth. They can't have that pacifier when they're in 6th grade. That's not going to be good. And depending
Yeah.
how they have been trained, you could have a really hard time with that. And having the child go to, okay, we're going to start school now. You're going to have to go to bed at 8, 7:30, 8, 8:30. You could have a really hard time there.
I think about Natalie when she was little and had the bottle still.
Yeah.
And she really liked that bottle. And we would, I remember being a little, we were pretty young when she was on the bottle. And we would have what was called bottle search because the bottle was missing.
Time to find the bottle.
Well, she was getting too old to have the bottle. So one day we had a bottle search and never did find it. Well, here you hid it.
We found it like a couple of years ago.
It was like,
and I was like, my bottle! It was crusty. I wasn't going to put it in my mouth.
So it started all over again, and now we know.
Sometimes a loss of a certain... I'm not talking about sickness. I'm not talking about disease. Sometimes
that's so true.
You go and you find, oh, my favorite video that I go for comfort is gone.
Yeah.
Well, it might be a good time to switch over.
That's right. Yes, and that bottle had duct tape on it. Remember that? It was so
I think I still have it in the basement as
oh
like
my
keepsake thing. I don't know. It was funny.
It's so funny. But that's a really good example.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. And you know what's really funny? We go through those same things as adults.
Yep. Yes, we do.
Same things. Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think that is an ongoing thing in life because we deal with our flesh all the time. So if you don't get your flesh under.
Yes.
And keep it there. And it's got to be an all the time thing. And how you do that is with the word. Because the word does that. Man, I got in the word last few days. Every single time I got in the word, it was like, oh my gosh, it's like reading my mail. Oh, I'm repenting. I'm like writing things down. I'm like, okay, and God's showing me where I missed it.
Oh,
like, oh my gosh. And I mean, just really got after me. I was glad. But I thought, wow. So this morning I'm opening up. I'm like, where's the nice little, really easy, your wonderful scriptures?
But you know what? That shows you're ready to take that.
That's true.
So, and you want those things. I don't want to be wasting my time in the gym doing things that just do nothing. Then you find out later, that workout actually does nothing. Man, I was sweating over that. I want to do the things that do the most for the least amount of effort. That's what I want. I want the things. I want the most gains.
And what the word teaches is that correction is a legitimizer of our sonship.
Oh, that's good.
You're not a legitimate son if you're never corrected.
Yeah.
Yep.
You think about a good trainer, if he really cares, or if he really takes a liking to a certain gym bro or whatever at the gym, he'll correct him.
Yep.
He'll show him things.
Yeah.
He'll say, wait, don't fix this a little bit. And it could be frustrating, but it's always worth it.
Yeah.
I think it was Peltz. And they taught that when was the last time you were corrected? Was that Peltz that taught that?
I think it was. It was Vern. Yeah.
When was the last time you were corrected?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, think about, and this was just God that did this when we start teaching guitar lessons. And we've got kids that are probably too young, 7, all the way up to adults. And the funny thing about when you learn something, if you learn it the wrong way, it's really hard to unlearn that.
Yes.
And so we are very picky, very detailed, very picky when they're first doing their chords. They want to use their favorite, strongest. They want to go with the feeling. Yeah, but it feels better if I go. You're going to regret it later. You're not going to be able to play well. You're not going to be able to switch well. You're not going to be able to play well. Some will listen and some won't. Some just give up right there. But some will. Then the other thing is we send them home with sheets to practice. Now, you have to practice.
Yeah.
You're not going to get good unless you practice. And when they come back, you can tell within 5 seconds when we start playing who practiced and who didn't.
And you know what that is? That's the righteousness of God, which is doing it God's way, how he said, and how he does it.
Yeah.
But we like to, but it feels better when I do it this way. If you struggle with doing it your own way, coloring outside the lines, now there's times where, be as creative as you want. But there's a lot of things that are, if you don't do it God's way, you're going to struggle through life.
Yes.
You're going to struggle through everything. Because if you don't get your righteousness set, everything else will not fall in line.
Yeah.
If you don't get your hand placement set, you won't be able to go on to the licks and riffs and all the fancy stuff.
That's right.
You're going to still be at the bunny hill.
Can I say one more thing about that, too?
Yeah.
The red flag is when you notice that you're not being corrected anymore.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because if that kid decides, I'm not going to do it, eventually we'll stop correcting them.
Oh, boy.
And that child's progression has stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a flaw in his technique that will follow him until he corrects it.
Oh, and that's tough.
And we, as believers, if there is no correction, if we don't yield to correction, we stop growing spiritually.
Yes.
And we drag along with us a flaw that becomes touchy, and you have offense when people talk about it. Or get close to it. And the Lord won't, He's not going to show you something if He knows you're not going to do it. That just, that's just going to be harmful to you if you see light and you don't walk in it.
Well, that was Jesus all the time. He never went after people. No. But He gave them opportunity to come to Him.
But that was like with Paul saying that I'm not able. And he had things that he wanted to tell them. He wanted to teach them and show them that would have been great boosts to their spirituality. But he couldn't. And Jesus said, I have many things yet to say to you.
Yes.
But I can't. You're not able. You're not able.
What about the people that come, the kids and the adults that come to the guitar? Because you guys were with me. To the guitar lessons, and they bring their guitar and they said, I know how to play guitar. I know the chords. I got this little lesson, or somebody showed me, or I just, looked online. Well, that's cool. But most of them had started out wrong. They just they got a chart and they, did the best they could. Right. And it's kind of like Kellyanne. She deadlifts, and she can deadlift the most amazing.
Like in competitions.
Yeah. And so she did not have a coach. And so she was in this huge competition, and they told her, if you would have had a coach, you would have won. Oh, you would have won. Get a coach. Well, she has gone all this time without a coach. Now you get a coach. When you get a coach, you want that coach to be good. You're paying that coach. You want that coach to be so good that you're going to win. Yeah. Well, now you've got to humble yourself. You've got to be willing. You've got to, take your emotions off. And it's got to be business. You've got to do the work. And if you do the work the right way, like the first 2 weeks or the first month, it's going to be like, oh man, this is terrible. I can't. It's almost like starting over.
Yeah. And then if you're looking at it in a good situations, you're like, what have I been doing this whole time? I'm so thankful they're here because now I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because then you're actually seeing good progress.
I think, I saw posts, it's on there a lot now on Facebook, where it says, if you're going through a hard lesson, sit back and just learn the lesson.
Yeah.
If you're constantly going through the same thing, you're not learning the lesson. If you just relax, a lot of times, I'll just ask the Lord, I'll just come clean and say, you know what? I've had a bad attitude and I just repent. I want to be corrected. I want to go the right way. I want to be easily teachable. And He'll do it. But I've noticed with the Lord, I've noticed with the Holy Spirit, if you don't do that, they'll go like this.
Yep. They're not going to push.
They're not going to make you. The devil makes you.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And a lot of this, let's go to Hebrews 4. And we're going to look at verse 9. So I never thought of it this way until we were sitting here talking about this.
Ooh.
So we always hear the verse, labor to enter into the rest. So verse 9, Hebrews 4, verse 9. So then there is still waiting a full and complete Sabbath rest reserved for the true people of God. For he who has once entered God's rest also has ceased from the weariness and pain of human labors, just as God rested from those labors, peculiarly His own. Let us, therefore, be zealous and exert ourselves and strive diligently to enter that rest of God, to know and experience for ourselves, that no one may fall or perish by the same kind of unbelief and disobedience into which those in the wilderness fell. Now, this laboring to enter into the rest. I never got that. I'm like, okay, you work really hard and then you're done forever. Kind of like retirement. No, it's not like that. So when you're working out in the gym, I got this app because I had no clue what I was doing. So here I thought, well, you just do 12 and then you move on to the next exercise. And you just keep going until you're exhausted. That's not right. You do, so let's say you're going to do curls. You do 8 to 12 of those until you're like, I can't go anymore. So you do 8 to 12. You want to fail between 6 to 8 reps. That's how you know you're lifting enough, because you want it heavy where you're like, I can't go. Then you rest.
Wow.
Now, if you rest 30 seconds to a minute, you're going to build cardio, more endurance muscles. But if you wait 2 minutes to 5 minutes, you're lifting like a bodybuilder. Because then you're ready to do the next set just as hard, just as heavy, because your muscles have reset themselves.
Oh,
so
man.
weed, it's a labor, rest, labor, rest, labor, rest. It's not a labor rest. No, you do the faith, then you rest. Then God will repump you up. He'll get you, good job, you did it, you carried that. And then you go again.
Wow.
Then you rest. And it's the hardest thing waiting those 2 minutes. You're like, and almost resting is almost a labor. Because you're like, okay, do not pick that weight up until that 2 minutes is up. I literally have a timer that's counting down, and I'm like, I'm not touching that. I'll stretch or I'll massage things, but I'm not lifting any weights. Because then you're ready to go again. Because the closer and more times you get to muscle failure is when you gain the most muscle back.
Wow.
And then in between those workout days, you have whole rest days. And those are just as important as the workout days. Because if you don't rest, like the Sabbath rest, if you don't rest, you're not actually going to gain any more than if you just worked out every day and just pushed yourself way too hard.
Wow.
Those rest days are just as important.
And we're talking about faith that's strong and makes it easy to receive.
Yes.
It makes things, and you can go help someone else that's having a hard time receive, because your faith is built up. Just like in the natural, you get strong enough, everyday tasks become easy. They don't stress you. They don't tweak you, and you can help other people that are struggling. When that's our faith needs to be that way.
Yeah.
Exceedingly growing faith.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you get strong, you're looking for opportunities to help people. Be like, this is what I've trained for. Let me help you. This is, oh, I can carry that. That's really heavy. I want to help you. But if you're still like, oh, no, that's too heavy, you're not strong enough yet.
Yeah.
And when you're ready to help people, I heard this other quote that said, a bodybuilder is never going to critique somebody starting out in the gym. They're going to help them. A millionaire isn't going to try to belittle somebody trying to start their business. They're going to help them. It's the people who aren't fit. It's the people who aren't rich that they're going to try to keep you in. There's a story about crabs. So if you have one crab and put him in a bucket, you got to put a cover on that because that crab is going to get out. But if you have a bunch of crabs and put them in a bucket, if a crab tries to get out, they'll pull that crab down. You don't have to put a top on that at all. They will keep each other in there. So your environment that you put yourself in will keep you there. If you're stuck in the world and you're like, oh, I keep getting pulled down. I keep doing these things. You're in that crab environment. Wow. You need to be in an environment where we lift each other up.
Yeah.
Because others who are lifted up aren't going to push you down. They're going to lift you up with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why church family is so important.
So important.
So important to be in that environment of faith. So important. Because when you're in the gym with your gym bros, I don't go to the gym, but if you're in there, you're going to be more inspired because you're going to see that person be like, yo, I want to look just like that. I want muscles just like that. You get in the faith gym and you're like, whoa, I want faith like that. And it inspires you.
So good.
It should lift you up.
Yeah.
It says, look at those who've gone before you. Look at their faith. Follow their faith. Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ. Yeah. Why? You're watching his gym videos. You're like, yo, I want to do that. That's the correct form. That's going to get me the most out of it. We can do that same thing. Yeah. We can do that with each other too. We can do that with Jesus. Be like, I'm going to follow him. So faith presents an open access for everyone to reach out to God at the instant of their faith and take it. It creates that open door. Now it's just ready and available. It's like when the Holy Spirit at the very beginning, he was hovering over the face of the deep. It was darkness. And he didn't do anything until God said, light be. Boom. It happened. Same with all the people who were touching Jesus. And then the woman with the issue of blood. She touched him with faith and boom. That healing power was available for anybody. Yeah. Anybody could have taken that. But she took it.
That's the reason some people don't get healed when you pray for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that I mentioned that person that was impotent in his feet that Paul preached to and steadfast. But that man heard the word. It says right there, he heard them preach the gospel. What did he preach? Good news. What's good news to somebody who's crippled? You can be healed. Yeah. Jesus has provided it. It's already done. And he heard that and it clicked. Something stuck with this man. And Paul, by the Spirit, perceived it, saw it on him. Kenneth Hagin said, you can tell when the faith comes, when the light comes, faith is there. He said it'll be like you turn a light on. And they'll brighten up. I mean, it clicks.
Yeah.
And he said, those people are ready.
Wow.
You pray for them. They're ready. He said, stand up. He was ready to act on it.
Nice.
But you've got to be there when your faith gets there. And that's out of their comfort zone.
It is. It is. Yes, it
is. And it's always going to be out of your comfort zone. You know what? Life, it's uncomfortable. But when we get used to that, and then we let the Comforter, we have the Holy Spirit, He's the Comforter, He then comes up and comforts us and says, you're doing it, and then you're like, I'm doing it, yeah! He comforts us in those uncomfortable situations, but He's not going to comfort you if you have your own comforts, which don't really comfort you deeply. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg.
Yeah.
That's not going to do much. And your faith determines your now. So the stronger your faith, the faster you get it.
That's good.
God is not gaining anything by you being under failure and frustration and affliction. God doesn't want you there. No good parent, no good coach wants you under that. They want you free completely. They want you ready to go. They want you strong and whole. They want you to be able to do all the hard stuff that you need to be. Any good parent is going to train up their child ready for life, ready with the skills that they need. They're going to let their kids go through the hard things to learn from that. Like our parents, you would teach us things, but then you would let us do it. You wouldn't just hover over and be like, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. You would let us learn how to do it. I even remember playing video games. Back then, video games were hard. They're hard now. So we found out that Mario Kart, which is the best game.
Best game ever!
Back then, you would fall off the map if you were driving wrong. You had to drive really good. Nowadays, they have bumpers on the car. We got the newest one for the Switch. They have bumpers on there.
Yeah, we were like, I can't fall off the map. What's going
why
on?
is this? And it was actually harder to drive with skill. Here, they nerfed the game so you wouldn't fall off as much, so it wasn't as frustrating. They made it too easy.
See, it's all about comfort zone.
It is.
It's all about, kids weren't buying it. They weren't playing it.
It was too
because
hard.
It was too hard. Man, and that's scary. That's scary when you start having society where they're not going to do anything that's hard.
Yeah.
That's scary because somebody has to do the hard.
Yeah, you don't learn that fulfillment of, wow, that was really hard and I beat it. Yeah. You don't get that.
Just think if if somebody needed a brain surgery or something, and they're like, I'm trying to find somebody who went to the school for 12 years, who's been a brain surgeon for 50 years, or you know what I mean, who's done 1,000 people, and they're like, no, I'll give it a go. But, I mean, if the surgery's over an hour, forget it.
Yeah, that's too hard.
Yeah, so we're just going to do the quick thing.
Can I just have the easy surgeries? No, hard things are good. They even said, so Legos, you would just get this box of just random Legos.
Yeah.
But then people weren't buying more Legos because they were being creative with all this. Their own creativity, they would make whatever they want. They would make castles. We used to have Legos. They were so fun. Then they started out coming with the Kidz, where they had the step-by-step instruction. That actually killed creativity.
Yeah.
Because now, block 1 goes to block 2. I did it.
Yeah.
There's no creativity anymore. It killed that. They call it entrepreneurship, where you're creative on your own. God made us to be creative.
Yeah.
He's the creative one. Look at everything He created. He wants us to be creative.
Yeah.
But when we don't want to do the hard things or stick it out, well, that's going to actually harm you later on.
Yeah.
We can do the hard things because when we labor to enter the rest, then we get His rest.
The devil uses fear of failure to keep so many people from stepping out or pressing in to all sorts of different stuff. Fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
And, you just talked about that. Getting close to failure is you get your biggest gains.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
I mean, look at David.
Yeah.
When was his greatest gain?
Yeah.
His greatest when he got right next to failure.
Ooh.
Like Goliath.
Wow.
Yeah.
But succeeding in the covenant, I mean, just standing on what God said, he had faith in that covenant. He was ready to step out. And he did.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of a whole army that was too afraid because they thought, they all saw themselves being killed by this guy.
Do you know what about David? He was raised out of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
He was the youngest. He was out with the sheep.
Yeah.
He was raised out of his comfort zone. And because of that, when he went there to see his brothers to bring them food, and when they yelled at him and told him to go home and stuff, it didn't bother him. He just stayed there. I mean, imagine, he was young. They say he was about 17 years old. He never fought, never was in the army or anything. Imagine going to the king, or the king, and he's there with the army, and saying, "I'll fight him." He'd be like, what?
And then the kid, I can just picture him barefoot and overalls. I killed the lion and I killed the bear. So, this here giant, here's the next one. Ting.
He's got his sling. I can do it.
I do there, King. I don't want no fancy armor.
I can hit frogs real good. Watch.
I do it all day. See that sheep over there? I can hit him in the head every time. He's sitting out there. He's sitting out there with his lute, worshiping.
I've never seen it that way.
Hillbillies for Jesus.
And then the king is trying to get his armor on him. Can you imagine? He's like, like those little kids with their first snowsuit. They go outside and they're just like this.
This is too fancy like.
They can't. That one video of the kid who's shoveling with his dad. He shovels and he tips right over his head. He can't move. He's
That's David out there. And the king's like, "Oh, you're one of those."
He cuts Goliath's head off. He hangs it up in his tent.
Look, Paul, look what I got for you.
He probably was hanging a slingshot from it.
He put it right next to the bear and lion. He's like, I got this taxidermied by my cousin Jebediah.
You don't make movies like that.
They should.
Oh my gosh.
They have the pirate Bible. They need the hillbilly Bible. That would just be
They have
hilarious.
that cowboy Bible.
They got the cowboy Bible.
Oh my gosh.
I can just see him. Come on, Glass. You're next. Ting. Like, bam. His brothers come up. What are you doing here? I don't know. What are you doing here? Let's have a battle.
I'm gonna kill this giant so me and your dog can be in love.
I done lost my favorite tooth.
My daddy ain't paid no more taxes.
You mean I get the pretty girl too? Bring me that giant.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
You're done prettier than my sister. He didn't have any sisters. I don't think they didn't talk about them. That's what happens when you're out with the sheep too long. But he said, I might be stupid, but I sure am pretty. The Bible said so.
What?
He said he was good looking. She never thought it was going to go this way. You'd never know.
What did you learn at Bible study? I learned that David was a hillbilly.
And he had a banjo. They called it a lute. I could see him going to King Saul. Let me play you something, Saul. Where'd you come from? Where'd you go? Where'd you come from? Got banjo. Oh wait, Glass did. Never mind. No wonder Saul wanted to kill him. He was like, country music.
He's like, shut.
Just stop. Can you play that one again? John. Oh, Paul, that one always makes me cry.
Oh my gosh.
Paul didn't see David.
Pa.
Oh, Paul. Now you're talking about Paul.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Wow.
I think so.
Oh man. Okay.
Anyway.
Well.
So, the world of success is built on your belief system. Whether it's Old English or Hillbilly, you take whichever one you want.
John,
Carry on. John, carry on. Take over. John, take over. Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yep.
You just never know how
You
the Bible
just
study's
never know.
going to end.
Oh.
John told me about this one guy. He works out. Anyway.
I didn't know that was a funny story.
Maybe John should tell it.
He didn't see it. I really would have saw it.
But didn't I show it to you?
So now this guy comes up on my feed. So anywho, he was.
Anywho.
That's exciting. Anywho, he was telling there's a difference between going to muscle failure and lifting until you feel like you're gonna puke.
Yep.
And he's a little bit too extreme, but he's got muscle to show for it.
That just makes me want to work out, doesn't it? You have to puke.
Am I going to be let down when the punchline isn't matching the laughter? I'm just wondering.
Let John tell us.
You push your face and you want to puke. That's the end of my story, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming,
John,
to
say something.
What was the point of that story? I want to know.
The harder you work, the more you get. So work harder. That's the message, Bible. It's next to the Rice Krispies.
John, you got it.
No, you started.
All right,
you
John,
finish it.
bring this in.
Yeah,
Bring 4 minutes left.
Bring us in.
Say something.
God loves us,
Where the heck are
everyone.
you supposed to go after that?
No.
Back to the city.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't think we
Wow.
can get back from that one. So.
Wow. Did everybody leave?
Like, let us know when you're done.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Laughter's the best medicine. They say it's internal jogging.
Until you want to poop.
All right. Let's see. Let's
Oh no! I was here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
All right. Well,
Thanks for joining us. Work out. Play the banjos. Kill the giants. Get the girl.
Was that a prayer? Wow.
Sling those slings. You ain't got a thing if you ain't got that sling.
What's in her cup?
That's
My cup.
Oh.
okay. I do have to say one thing about
Please
the
do.
labor and the rest and stuff. One thing that we continually see, and then we are like, oh my gosh, look at that. We have found that God does that with us in ministry. Where we'll be ministering, we've got church Tuesday, we've got church Wednesday, and then something just wonderful will happen. And it will be like this huge, fun rest thing. And he does that all the time.
Rejuvenating,
Yeah, rejuvenate. And we always say, oh my gosh, here's the rest.
He does it all
Here's
the time.
that. He does it all the time.
But you have to be looking for it, because otherwise you can miss it.
Yeah,
'Cause
you
a lot
can.
of times we're waiting for this, wow, you just won the $1 million spa. No, it's, oh, that was really nice that happened.
Yeah.
Or that we had the time to do this or this.
Yeah.
And it's the little things.
And when you give God your all and your best, He always gives you
does.
His best.
His
Yeah.
rest. That's
He
really
always does. Yeah. Yeah.
And last year when we were coming into the garage sale, I was in my devotions with God, and he said, if you will trust me with your effort, I'll make sure, like, you put your all into this. Because I was thinking, how is this going to happen? Because we go every day, and it's really taxing, and it's really stressful, and all this stuff, getting it all together, because we have like 2 days to set up, then it's 3 days of the sale, then we clean up, set up for church. It's a lot. But God said, if you'll trust me with your effort, I, just like any good trainer, will make sure you have enough rest to recuperate between. And that was the best garage sale, because I thought, okay, I'm giving it my all.
Yeah.
And ever since that, this same garage sale came up again, and I thought, I'm going to do the exact same thing, God. I'm going to give you my all. I'm going to trust you. And he made sure there was ample enough rest time.
Yeah.
We had Wednesday. We didn't have to be there because we set up Monday, Tuesday, and some on Sunday. We did all that. We set up that huge garage sale within 2 days.
Yeah.
And then God gave us a day of rest.
It was amazing. It was
And
amazing.
even though we weren't at the sale, we were still working here, but it was still just a day to spend time in the Word in the morning, just kind of go on with our regular routine again of work and life and stuff, and then get ready for the sale days. And then we were able to pray for people during the sale.
Yeah.
It was just fun. Just being with the people, talking to them, loving them, helping them, just looking out for each other. Oh, you need a rest or break? I will wash your spot for you. Oh, you need to carry that? Oh, let's do that together. And just doing all that stuff. That was just the cherry on top then.
Yeah. And I think every single one of us were blessed by things that we got at the garage sale. Like I found some really cute things that I really wanted and things, you know, and I think Tracy got a pair of tennis shoes. She was looking for that. And Cindy, she scored.
Shorts,
man.
And it was as you were working.
As we were working.
There was one day I was in the middle of just like climbed underneath the table because all these clothes fell behind there. So I was in the abyss. I think there was a spider I killed. But I was in there and I was pulling stuff up. And I found these pair of pants that I've always wanted. They're like the exercise pants with the skirts on them. I'm like, oh, and it was my size. Oh, and it had a new tag on it. Oh, yeah. All that.
I got this hat. Yeah, I got several hats.
I got the sweater.
Yeah. So I mean, and then people came to church on Sunday with outfits that they got.
Yeah.
Megan did, and I think did Connie. I don't know, but anyways,
a lot of people
so it was just really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And God will always bless you when you seek first the kingdom. All these things are added.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be seeking first the thing.
Yeah.
Seeking first the comfort. Seek first the kingdom. Put your all in that, and God will make sure you get the rest covered.
Ooh,
yeah.
Because it's the Gentiles, it's the heathens, it's the sinners that are looking after, what do I wear? What do I eat? How do I rest? How do I do this? How do I fit all this in my life and work and have time for at home? But all we have to do is seek one thing.
Yeah.
The kingdom and his righteousness, which is his way of doing and being right.
Yeah.
And then all these things are easy.
See?
Yes.
And then look at Kelly preaches on Mother's Day, right? Of the day that we just started setting up. And what does she preach on?
Easy.
It's easy. It's not hard. It's easy.
Yeah, that was just cool.
We were saying throughout the whole garage sale, one of us would randomly yell, this is easy. And then everybody, oh, this is easy. This is.
And what is that? When somebody says, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
But you have to agree with it.
Yeah.
You go with it.
Yeah.
And it all goes past this, because this right here is like, what? This is not easy.
I used to love that when we had Taya, and then maybe somebody would maybe get hurt or something, and then they'd be crying, and they would say, "Oh, come over here, you know this so and so," and I would go over there and I'd say, "You know what? You're okay." Yeah. They'd look at me. I am. I said, "Yeah, you're going to be just fine. Everything's just fine." Yeah, and it just changed everything.
It stayed calm, like that lady. You know, the doctor said I have this cancer, but I'm not even going to look at that.
Yeah.
Why? She was focused on what God said.
Yeah.
That you are healed. That it's all going to be okay.
Yep.
If you put your faith in him, it's all going to be okay.
Praise God. So good. He's just so good.
Yes.
And you know what?
So
we need to say all the time, it's easy. We need to say all the time that God is so good to me.
Yeah.
So good to me.
Yeah.
That just sits
We
everything
were,
right.
one day, we were just kind of, I think that was my tired day. That kind of caught up to me that one day. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I thought, oh, let's watch something for lunch. And so I put this, and it was Touched by an Angel. And it was one of the first ones. And Monica, she was the angel, and she appeared to this lady, and this lady was going through this really, really, really hard time. And she just looked at this lady, and she just hugged her, and she said, you know what? If you knew how much God loved you, she said, and just the way that she said it, he loves you so much. And just, you know, and that just hit me. I thought, you know what? If we really believed that,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'd be like, that would just be foremost all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard, I was mowing with John and I was listening to teaching and they said, so this person absolutely loved Michael Jordan, watching him play basketball. That was like he just loved watching him. So Michael Jordan retired, whatever, then he became a baseball player, blah, blah, blah. Then I guess he came back to basketball. So he was coming to where this guy lived. Now, those are the days where you had to call in to the ticket booth and when they were selling tickets. So this guy's like, yeah, we have these good tickets left. So he got the tickets. He was so excited. He was so pumped to go see his person he loved watching. So he gets there and he's like, these tickets, I bet they're on the floor. Nope. So they're climbing way up, way up, way up. They're in the very, very back, but he was so excited to be there. He said it felt like we were going to fall into there, but he said, God is even greater than that. Because just think, not only am I excited to be here to watch Michael Jordan play, but what if Michael Jordan was so excited that I was there to come watch him? Did you know God does that?
Yeah.
He is so excited when we come into his presence with him.
Yeah.
That it says that joy and delight in his presence, there's joy. That means that your face lightens up. When somebody comes into the room and your face just lightens up because they come in there, that's what God does with us.
Yeah.
That's what we should do with one another. We should be happy when each other are there.
Yeah.
And then I asked, when you told us the story, I asked the question, when we walk into a room, do people light up when we walk in?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so. I hope they're happy that we come and not be like, oh.
Yeah. And that's what love does.
do we light up when other people walk in the room?
Oh.
Genuinely?
Genuinely.
Because you sow that. You want joy? You sow joy. You want love? You sow love. You have to do that first.
Yeah.
That's the laboring. Then you get the rest.
Yeah. Well, God just kept telling me right before the garage sale and during the garage sale, his favorite part was us working together in unity.
Cool.
That was his favorite part.
That's his favorite part.
Yeah.
He lightens up.
Yeah.
He loves that. I love when I see, like, even kids that we pick up or kids we're teaching or even, like, our church family, when I see them loving each other, that just, they're doing it. Oh, I just love it.
Yeah.
Why? Because, and how much more does God love us?
Yeah,
loving
that's
one
true.
another.
Yep.
He loves that.
Yep.
And for a while, God was taking me on a journey of, if it's not sacrifice, it's not love.
Oh.
It's just mutual benefits. But when you sacrifice, not expecting anything in return, that's love.
Yeah.
That's what God did. He gave.
Wow.
Yeah.
He sacrificed.
Yeah.
When you sacrifice for each other.
Before we loved him.
Yeah.
Before we accepted him. Before we believed in him.
Yeah.
He
Expecting
loved us
nothing in return.
enough to give his only son.
His only son.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that toss-up? You or Jesus?
Wow. That's amazing.
But
And
he
I
did that.
think about, when Jesus came, he could have just did it all himself.
Yeah.
He didn't have to have the disciples. He didn't have to, but God, that's his favorite part.
Yeah. His family. That's why he created
Working
us.
together. And
Yeah.
Awesome.
God.
All right. We will be back Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. Hey, happy Memorial Weekend. Yes.
Yay.
God bless you. We love you
Bye.
guys.